Hi guys, welcome back to Top Odds Things. Today we are working back on the Porsche. As you can see, I've already made a start. Basically, we have gone ahead and we have ordered everything that we need to get the Porsche back on the road at the moment. That is pending me breaking some stuff potentially when I'm taking some bits off. But fingers crossed, as long as everything goes according to plan, we should have pretty much everything off, rebuilt, ready to go back on for next week. So what we're going to do now is this video is we're going to go through everything that I've purchased thus far and that's turned up, and then we're going to basically start to rebuild that subframe. So yeah, let's crack on with it. Right, for those of you that may not have been following the channel when this happened, this is our custom Widebody Porsche Cayman. Obviously it's under a cover at the moment, you can just see the wheel at the back. Basically we ran into a bit of an accident where the whole front end of this all got smashed up, all the subframe and bits and bobs, which is why we've been going around in the mighty Punto for the moment. If you saw previous episode, and I'll put the little link up, we had removed the whole front subframe, including both control arms, all the suspension, wheels, the whole lot, and we were basically working through trying to find out exactly what was wrong. We did find out exactly what was wrong, and as we come over here to the steering rack, as you can see there, that is not supposed to be open to the world. We have ordered a new steering rack that is due for delivery today. Not new, second hand, but looks pretty good, so fingers crossed it pays off. And then we had a few things with this that we needed to also replace. This hub is okay, but the one on the other side, as you can see, it's already been taken off. Basically it sheared itself off of the lower coffin arm and taken out that coffin arm with it. So what we have got already is we have a new hub just sitting down here, second hand again. Obviously we're doing this on a budget, so we've got a second hand hub sitting here ready to go, and then with the lower coffin arms we decided to go for a slight upgrade on what we have in there. So we've got some brand new coffin arms front and back, so we can do the rears at some point as well. Oh, I've got them dirty already, god damn it. And basically we've also ordered poly bushes for all of the bushings for this as well. So we thought really the price difference between getting some new coffin arms and buying ones with the upgraded poly bushes isn't actually all that much, to be honest. And so for just future proofing and stuff, we thought we'd whip those in and do a slight upgrade. So plans of what we're doing today, as you can see, we've already made a start of dismantling certain bits. So what we're doing is we've disconnected the drop links. We've got some new ones of these coming hopefully early next week. Then we are just removing the second hub, the one that wasn't sheared off, so we can take that off and clean it up. Then we can get access to the bolts to take the sway arms off, and then the lower coffin arms on each side, so then we can look to them replace them. And then in the meantime what we've done is we've started to spray on some degreaser and stuff, and we're basically just going to give this a real clean up, and then paint some of the bits that have gone a little bit rusty and stuff to just make it look a little bit nicer. So that's general plan of action today. Let's crack on. Right, now we're going to be basically building up the poly bushes into the new coffin arms. I've already done this one. These ones are really easy because they come in two halves, and then you can just poke the bush all the way through and just hit it with a rubber mallet on a hard surface, job done. These ones a little bit more difficult because they're flanged on both sides, so you have to somehow manage to basically force the bush through this and then get it to pop out the other side. I've done one already, but I thought really I should probably show you how I do it. Now this may not be the correct way at all, so come at me in the comments. However, I do find that it works, and anything that does work I always tend to think is right anyway, even if it's not, because at least it works. So what I've done, kettle, boiled water in here, bushes inside. That's basically to soften them up a little bit, to just get the plastic a little bit more malleable, and then carefully pinch them out, and then what I tend to do is just get them on the vise, and effectively just start to work them through, what you'll see is they basically one side should go in just like this on here. Let's do it up just until you sort of start to see it sit in there correctly, and then what I tend to do is then move it up a little bit and then start working in the opposing side. And you're effectively just trying to get that plastic to sit into the hole so that it will go all the way through. There we go. So you can see that other side's now come in, so now it's straightened up a bit. And then now it's just a case of winding it in so it starts to come out the other side, and you just see it start to poke out there. And then it's just a case of manoeuvring this around just to try and get it to go in as straight as possible. Right, is that good? Through. Then we've got this kind of like last bit here, so you can see it's started to come through, but it's not all the way through on here. So what I tend to do is now put it on top of something and just absolutely bash it with a mallet. So I'll be right back. A couple of bashes with the old universal tool at the garage, and then as you can see here, we're through on both sides. Lip hasn't fully come out on this side yet, so what I do is, and I've now lost the 2 seconds. Now basically little flathead screwdriver, and then just start to ease it around the outside of this just to get that flange back out. So as you can see, it's tucked in a little bit here, but as you start to, and you've got to be a little bit careful with this because you don't want to sort of tear it at all, because then it sort of loses its functionality. But yeah, just work it all the way around, all the way around, and then finally push. There we go. Poly bush in a coffin arm. Then what we do is we grease up some of the bushes, stick it straight in the hole, and then that one is done. Alright, there we go. So that's all these complete, ready to go. So yeah, basically these are all together, all the poly bushes and everything in there, all up and ready. So issues that we're currently coming up against. As you can see, everything is stripped off of this subframe apart from these lower coffin arms. Now, the amazing people at Porsche tend to love putting steel fixings through aluminium, and it seizes up all the time. I don't know, I think they do it on purpose, but anyway. So what we've got as a problem is we've got the nut off the end of this bolt, but this bolt will not move. So at the moment we've tried tons of penetrating fluid, butane gas with the torch on it, just to see if we could loosen it up a bit, none of which is allowing it to budge. My slight trepidation, which is why I've not gone absolute hell for leather on it at the moment, is that the mounting points for these on this subframe, if I accidentally crack one of them, this whole thing is foobarred, and I'll have to get a new subframe. So we're going to try and not do that, because otherwise that's going to be like a £600 mistake. So I think what we're probably going to do is get an angle grinder or a reciprocating saw and basically just chop the bolts off, and basically just keep going and chopping this arm back until we get to the point where it's going to be freed up and allow us to take the whole thing off. I think that's probably the safest bet, rather than just keep whacking it with a hammer and potentially chip some of the aluminium, which is already been dented and stuff with me trying to get this off at the moment on one side. So I think that's probably what we're going to do now. So we're currently waiting for my child to wake up, because those of you that are dads will know that if you have a baby that is sleeping, you do not start angle grinding in the garage, because you will end up with an upset baby as well as an upset general household. So yeah, we are just going to fly around the garage and get a few other bits done in the meantime, and then as soon as time is available, we're going to basically go at it with a angle grinder, and fingers crossed we're not going to damage anything too bad. Right, and we are, and a bit of a weird one, but we're a couple of days on. Basically this thing here is an absolute dick. So basically the Bright Sparks at Porsche have done the same thing again, where basically, much like pretty much everything on a Porsche, which I think they probably do on purpose, but basically they use steel fixings, aluminium sort of bushes that they go through, and effectively the two things always fuse together. Those two metals just notoriously awful for that sort of stuff. So anyway, so as you can see here, we have had to use the tools of the trade for this, which is effectively just lop it straight off, and we've ended up, after quite a few swear words and stuff at it, but with the bush chopped in half. So we've done that. We've also lopped the old arm completely off as well, as you can see there, because that was the only way to get it off. So basically we've got to do the same thing now for the other side, and then we can finally start to clean this up, get it painted, and then get all the new bits put back on, which are all just sitting over here nicely waiting to find their home at the moment. So then we can start to get this all put back together. A few updates on the Punto. This actually I don't think had this set up the last time in this video, actually earlier in the video, but basically we picked up some new wheels for it. So the original wheels were sort of here, and as you can see with the tread on them looking pretty low, so it was actually cheaper to basically go out and buy some nicer wheels, in my opinion, with sort of nearly new tyres all round, than it was to get 2 new tyres on the front of this. So what these are they're called Alltech Italian. So it's an Italian wheel brand, so it kind of matches the car and stuff as well. They are all looking pretty good. There's one tiny flat spot on this one, as you can see just up here, which needs to get repaired, but other than that, pretty good going. Yeah, so they're called Alltech Italia, and they are Italian made wheels, and so yeah, it goes quite well with it being a Fiat Punto. But yeah, nice big sort of 5 spokes, lots of sort of gap. If you had a big brake thing, that would look pretty cool. But yeah, basically the kind of just thought we'd pick them up based on the fact that it was going to cost us less money to get new wheels, which are in much better condition than the other ones, and basically get nearly new tyres all round than it was to get 2 new tyres. So it's kind of a win-win, and then we can sell the old wheels and make a little bit of money back on that as well. So right guys, and we've begun the rebuild of the lower subframe for the Porsche. Got our new rack against our old rack. We're basically moving some of the brackets and stuff over that never came with the new one, and basically also setting up our sort of steering rack ends to be exactly the same as what they were on the original, just to kind of give us at least the best possible chance of minimal adjustments needed afterwards. We have got the full subframe, basically all the parts for it, so it can be fully rebuilt, minus the smashed up wheel. But effectively, we've had these bits for sort of at least a month now, really, to be honest. And you know, I've just been putting it off. It's now winter, so as you can see by the front of the house, it's icy and cold and miserable. So yeah, basically we've been putting it off because of that, but you know what, I've kind of decided, you know, we need to get it sorted, mainly because I needed my scraper for the windscreen the other day before work, and I had left it in the Porsche, so I kind of thought, oh, you know what, I'll just take the cover off, I'll open it up and take a look, and was greeted with, yeah, basically it's been growing its own harvest on the inside of the car. Clearly there's a bit of a moisture leak somewhere. So anyway, with the hot weather we had before it got bitterly cold, the cover over the top must have just created this really lovely humid environment for some lovely stuff to just start, I don't know, reproducing, having, you know, the whale of a time on the inside of the car. And because it's been untouched for best part of 2 months, give or take, basically haven't even opened it up or anything, so hadn't noticed, and yeah, it's a little bit festy. So I'll show you kind of what I mean with that to start with, and then I'll talk you through what we are going to be doing today. Right, so here we go. Here is the infamous Porsche front end all smashed up because ran out of talent on a roundabout. However, as you can see, this is frozen, yeah, on the inside, which is never good, is it, really, for watertight car. And then as we come around here, you can see the windows are all a little bit blotchy. Yeah, doesn't look great, does it? Try not to breathe in too much, but yeah, effectively the whole car is covered in its own mould, which is furry and lovely, and yeah, I kind of just want to set fire to it at the moment, to be honest, rather than clean it up. So yeah, I've never had to deal with anything like this before, so I'm going to be leaning on Splash Detailing to give me some advice on how to sort my cock up, basically, because clearly there's a leak somewhere in here, and as I've not checked it, it's just been left. And yeah, I mean, I need to start driving this. I miss it a lot. So yeah. So yeah, so basically that's what we are dealing with at the moment. So that's kind of made me pull my finger out and say we need to go and get things sorted. So what we have been doing, we've already actually made a start because I just wanted to see how easy it was to get on. I'm going to put it out there, it was not easy, especially as one person on driveway rolling around on the floor. But flipping the camera around, we can take a look. We have a subframe in the car. Now it's only held on with a couple of bolts at the moment just because we need to get the steering rack kind of through this wiggly mess in here. But in essence, yeah, this whole thing's been rebuilt. We've reused some of the bits and bolts and bits and bobs, and then we've tidied up and cleaned some of the bits. But it's got new lower coffin arms, uprated, poly bushed, new track rods. It's got we need to chop these off actually, because as you can see it's not going to be roll barring too much at the moment, but yeah, so in essence we've got this in. We put it in as a full piece with some of the bits already in place because I didn't fancy trying to crack on getting it all in there once the actual subframe was in, because yeah, there was a bit of bashing around trying to get these bushes in and I don't know, all the rest of it. So anyway, so it took a bit of time to bash all this in. Now this is a pain, if anyone's thinking of doing this on the floor where you've got that much room, that is a pain in the arse to try and get in by yourself. In essence what we did is we raised up one side, put it on top of a box, then we got the jack, chucked it in the middle as you can see at the moment, and we basically just raised it up until it was kind of reasonably in the right location. Manages then to get sort of some front bolts in each side, and then what we've done now is we've raised it up even more, which has pulled the back end in. I had to loosen up a couple of the crossover pipes that kind of sit through the middle of the car just to kind of give a bit of wiggle room for these big plastic boys that just sit here to be able to get past them. But in essence now we're kind of in with 4 bolts kind of at its extremities. So now we're still going to leave it a little bit loose while we try and get the steering rack in. But as soon as the steering rack goes in and we get all that connected up, then we can start putting some of the pipe work back together, get all the clips back in place, and then yeah, we should be getting there. Then hubs can go on, calipers go back on, brake discs go on after they've been cleaned up, because they're looking pretty rusty at the moment, to be fair. They've been sat out, and then generally everything needs a clean. More, yeah, definitely that minging interior. I can't pay enough money to do that, to be honest. Yeah, might just strip it out, just leave it. I don't know. Yeah, not looking forward to it. So update, subframe fully complete. Everything is now mounted up properly. You can see steering racks all plumbed in, all connected back up to the steering column as well. All the pipe work's back in apart from the coolant bits, because we're going to wipe those down and cover them in a little bit of grease just to make sure that we're all good. Underneath, all the fuel straps and everything back on. All the crossbars, as you can see there, they're all mounted in. So now we are moving on to the rest of it, which is basically adding all the hubs, calipers, brake discs, everything. Suspension obviously needs to go back on as well. But okay, and a quick update on the Porsche as well. We've gone through and we have gone and cleaned all of the surfaces. So I think, as you can see, just about basically no more fluffiness over everything. We're going to do a proper deep clean, but for the moment this will basically just tide it over. We have got frozen windscreen, so I'm going to put some sort of silicate gel pads and stuff in here just to try and absorb the moisture from that. We're going to basically leave the cover off and just let it thaw out a little bit for the moment, and then yeah, got a little bit more to do down there, but I need to get the back off. So yeah, going to do that quickly now. Right, and then because of all the moisture and stuff in there, I thought it was better just chuck a jump pack on it. So jump pack is on, and from the looks of things everything is working correctly. Keys go in, everything lights up as it should, along with all the warning lights for everything that's disconnected at the moment. And then I think the only thing, so this doesn't seem to be giving, doing headlights. Okay, yeah, we got headlights, cool. Okay, rear lights as well, I'm guessing. Yeah, okay, so yeah, everything seems to be working correctly, but it's all just a bit sticky in here, to be honest. So I think we're going to need to start it at some point, and then in essence just let everything thaw out a little bit on this inside. But yeah, as I said, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and grab silicate gel thing out of the Punto, and I'm going to chuck it in here. Right, we'll just leave that on the windscreen for the moment, and then yeah, we'll probably come back out here tomorrow with a hairdryer or something and see if we can get rid of all that stuff on the inside. But for the moment, I'm going to close it, Is that going to lock? Okay. I'm going to do that then. I'm going to close. There we go. Right. Now we're all closed up. Right guys, bit of a cut forward, but a couple of days later we've actually managed to get everything back together again. So that is pretty much the whole front end all assembled. A couple of little bolts and stuff we're going to need to tighten up, but for all sort of purpose, this is together, ready to have wheels back on. So at least it can kind of move around and we can get it started and get a coolant flush through. Battery is totally dead, so what we've got is we've chucked it over here on charge, just sitting down there as you can see. But yeah, obviously there's a lot more work to do on this, from kind of repairing this, the headlight, the side skirts, where it's kind of split in the fiberglass as well. We've got to redo all of that, and obviously it's a bit loose now and stuff, and that's nice and rusty, but that should come off as soon as it's been driven and braked a few times. But yeah, basically we are getting ready to go, which is really good. So yeah, just thought I'd show you guys where I got up to with this, because yeah, it's definitely coming back together and we'll be back on the channel very shortly.